Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show men and women how they can lead healthy, happy, sustainable lives. And I'm really excited because today I'm joined by an attorney in the States. So, hi, Ashley.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to see you. So, for those of you that don't know, Ashley has been an attorney for how many years now?
Now I've been an attorney for about 4 years.
Right. Okay. And before we kind of get into, what it is that you do now day to day, tell us a bit about what, when you became interested in law. Is that something that you've been interested in for a very long time?
Yes, absolutely. So, gosh, when I was maybe like 7 or 8, I saw this movie. It's called I Am Sam. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but it's with Sean Penn and Michelle Pfeiffer. And Michelle Pfeiffer is this divorce attorney in the movie, and she's defending Sean Penn. He's disabled, and he's trying to win rights to take care of his daughter. And she takes kind of this pro bono case, and it becomes very contentious, and it's very interesting. And I saw the movie, no joke, when I was 7 or 8, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I knew from kind of a young age, I would say, that I wanted to be an attorney. And ultimately, I decided family law wasn't, the right fit for me, but I knew from a young age that this was the career path, I wanted to take.
That's amazing. That films can be that influential.
Right.
So that was when you were 7 or 8. So tell us about what happened then between then and your actual work as an attorney.
Right. Yeah. So, as I got older, once I got into college, I started interning. My first internship was with a lobbyist who worked at my college, and he lobbied for different bills and things for our school, tried to earn different grants so that our school could grow, individual programs and things like that. And I absolutely loved that. It was all about advocacy, which is similar to being an attorney. You advocate for your clients. So I loved it from the get-go. I started doing more and more internships. I did a political internship. I interned at the Arizona Attorney General's office. And kind of with each internship I did, I was learning and growing more and more, and just really loving it each step of the way. And so as I got deeper into the field of law, I just knew I was passionate about it, and this was for me.
Wow. I mean, you have to be incredibly disciplined, don't you, to stick with law? So I imagine it must be really tough. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff you have to learn. Things change all the time, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was, yeah. And I was never somebody whose school came natural to. I always had to study really hard and, kind of put in a lot of hours. So it definitely required a lot of, discipline and just commitment to my goal. And then now, even being a lawyer, I'm a labor and employment attorney. And especially here in California, the laws for employers are changing every day with COVID-19, sometimes multiple times a day. So you have to really kind of be able to adapt and be nimble, for sure.
Sounds like really long hours as well, having to do that extra, having to learn that extra information, probably outside of work hours.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, being an attorney can at times definitely be a 24/7 gig. So I always tell people it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not something to do if you don't love it and you're not passionate about it, just because you can't, you won't be able to dedicate the hours that it needs if you don't really love what you do.
What would you say is the toughest thing you've ever had to deal with in your, either as a law student or now working in the capacity as an attorney? What's the toughest thing you've had to face?
Oh, that is a tough one. I mean, school in general was, extremely rigorous. And like I said, school's not something that comes natural to me. So trying to, and I worked when I was in school, I worked full time. So kind of trying to balance those things, that was difficult during school. And I think now, being an attorney, it's gosh, there's different challenges, both substantive challenges and kind of personal challenges. Substantively, kind of like I mentioned, staying up with all of the laws and kind of constantly staying adept of what's happening is can be challenging at times. Personally, I think being a minority woman in the field has brought, different challenges. I remember when I was in law school, actually, I was working at a firm and, speaking with a mentor attorney who was at my firm. And he, kind of told me, as a woman and especially as a minority and being young, people are never going to take you seriously. And I remember just being really kind of shocked by that because this was somebody that, was supposed to be my mentor. And so that was really interesting. And, thankfully, I haven't found that to be, at times I think it can be true, but I think, women have evolved so much and they are respected in this industry. But that was a really kind of tough conversation and just interesting to be led by someone who had that perspective.
Wow. I mean, interesting is one word for it. So did it knock your self-esteem slightly? Have you
It
ever
was,
thought that perhaps there's some, have you ever kind of thought there's some truth in that? Or have you always thought, no, I'm just doing this anyway?
yeah. So, when he initially said it, I remember being really shocked and just super taken aback. And there was this moment of, gosh, like, is that true? Do I need to act a certain way or dress a certain way, to be taken seriously as, a young minority woman in this industry? But I don't know, that was kind of quickly overcome by this idea that if I start changing myself now, because that was when I was in law school, so it was, very early in my practice, who am I going to be in 10 years? I don't want to look back and think, who am I? I've lost myself in this career. So that thankfully, that kind of really stuck in my head. And I remember I had a professor in law school who told me, when you're in front of a jury, don't try to be someone you're not. If you're boisterous, be boisterous. If you're more melancholy and that's your personality, use that, because people can see right through that if it's not true to who you are, and it comes off disingenuous. And so I've always thought that was really good advice and tried to carry that with me.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. I think it doesn't matter what we're doing. You're absolutely right. People can see through it. They can't be fooled for very long. So, and actually, when we try to fool other people, it actually is quite a shallow existence, isn't it? Being us is the only way to be, really. So, what is it that you actually do on a daily basis?
Right. I know. So many people are like, you're labor and employment attorney. What does that mean? So I'm on the defense side. So I represent employers, and basically, I do a variety of things. Part of my practice is litigation. It's equal employment opportunity litigation, meaning that when a company is sued for, harassment, retaliation, discrimination, things in that kind of arena. My firm is working with the company to defend them in those lawsuits. And then another part of my practice is workplace investigations. And basically what that means is, let's say an employee comes to their supervisor or maybe a human resources manager and says, hey, I feel like I've been discriminated against, or I feel like, I'm having some issues, kind of personnel issues in the workplace. Sometimes, that company will hire a firm like mine to come in as a neutral third party and conduct an investigation and kind of really, dive deep and figure out what's going on in that workplace and how it can be improved. A lot of more recently, what I've been doing is COVID-19 guidance. So helping employers stay up to date on the laws and make sure they're keeping their employees and their customers safe, and, in compliance with all the new regulations. And then a lot of what I do is preventative, right? I'm hopeful that my clients don't get sued, and I'm hopeful that they have the proper, procedures in place, that, people are being treated fairly and being given fair opportunities. So that's a lot of my practice as well. And, really what I love about my practice is it's so human based. I'm not sitting behind a computer all day. I'm not drafting contracts, and no, discredit to anybody who does do that. I just knew for me, I wanted something that was really kind of grounded in human relationships. And that's what, my practice consists of.
Brilliant. I mean, it's obviously that you're passionate about what you do, Ashley. That shines through. What is the favorite part of what you do? And you just talked about human interactions, but what is, the best thing about it?
Yeah. So I absolutely love being kind of one-on-one. It's fun to be in a group meeting and strategize, but I love to kind of be one-on-one, either with witnesses or with clients. One thing I really enjoy is witness interviews. So kind of when a case starts, you meet all the witnesses, kind of all the key players, the key actors in the case, and you interview them. You find out, what's their role at the company? What do they do on the day-to-day? How were they involved in this specific case? What's their perspective? And you really kind of, get to know them, get to assess how they're going to play a role in your case. And it's kind of almost like if you think of, a movie and they cast, all the actors, right? And they know each person has their role. In a case, there's always different people that are involved, both high level managers to, lower level employees as well. And you figure out, how were they involved and how are you going to be able to work with them throughout the case? And so kind of learning those personalities is something I really enjoy.
It is high drama, isn't it? Really, the whole kind of situation. Do you find yourself when you go before the judge that you do take on a role?
That's funny. That's an interesting question. I think that, so I think being an attorney, especially if you, if you go to trial and things like that, some of it is kind of theatrics and like performative. And sometimes sometimes the stories that we hear of, things that go on in the workplace are, it's like watching a reality TV show at times, the drama of it. So I think when I go before a judge, just kind of one-on-one with the judge and maybe, the other attorney in the case, the opposing attorney, that is more kind of natural, I think, and direct. But when in front of a jury, obviously, it is something that you prepare for. You're not just going out there, on a whim. I don't know necessarily that I take on a role because, like I said, I do think it's important to kind of have that, just to be genuine and for that to come across to the jury, because you want them to trust you and to be engaged in the things that you're saying. But it is something that, you prepare for sure. Absolutely.
So even though you prepare, I imagine it's a highly stressful environment. Do you ever get stressed?
All the time, yes. The last couple weeks have been filled with lots of deadlines, and it's been quite overwhelming at times. And sometimes I start a week and I kind of think about all the things I have to do, or different deadlines I need to meet, and it seems impossible at times. But things always kind of feel impossible until they're done. And then you can kind of stand back and think, okay, I got through the week, I did it. But yeah, stress is a huge, absolutely, it's part of, it can be part of daily life at times.
Mm-hmm. What drives you? What's your mission, Ashley?
Yeah, I mean, loving what I do and being passionate are definitely the core of kind of what drives me on the day to day in terms of, my overall mission. I really want to kind of see women grow in this industry. And I want to, especially so I think people forget that part of law is there's also a business side of law, right? So there's the practice of law. And then there's the business side where you're going out, you're getting clients. And people, I don't think, realize that. And I think women, especially, start doing that really kind of later on in their careers, or they don't do it at all. And they just end up, kind of doing a lot of their work for other people's clients. And so being able to come alongside women and show them, what's worked for me, how to network, how to understand kind of the importance in the business of law, and just seeing, women flourish is really something that's kind of my, the core of what I hope to do in this when I look back and, 40 years.
Fantastic. What do you do when you're not working?
See, that time seems few and far between right now, but you know, um, recently during COVID, I've been looking for things that are more outdoors, that I can do safely, things that are, even open to be able to do. And recently I've taken up kayaking. I've been doing a lot of kayaking with friends down in kind of the Newport Beach area. I've done some in San Diego as well. And I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So that's been kind of a recent hobby that I've taken up.
Sounds brilliant. And I know you're not on social media, you don't do Facebook, you don't do Insta. Is that a conscious choice so that you can completely switch off?
Yes, absolutely. So, I think in today's world, we're so kind of, I don't know, I just see people so often not living in the moment. They're so worried about kind of capturing the moment in photos, for Instagram, for Facebook, or whatever, the app might be. And for me, I just make a conscious choice to try to be present in the things that I'm doing. Life is short. I learned that at a really young age. And, so I want to be present in the things that I do and not be just glued to my phone constantly.
Great advice. So if anyone listening is thinking about becoming an attorney, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think I would tell them to, stay determined, to persevere. The school aspect of becoming an attorney will be hard. Like I've mentioned, it requires discipline. So just to be committed. But ultimately, I would say that hard work is the most important thing. Just work ethic and being willing to to at times to work long hours and to really dive in if you don't understand something. I think work ethic is crucial. And I guess I would also say one of my favorite kind of quotes is, if there's not a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Because I think sometimes as a woman, there you can feel like there's not a seat for you. And so not being afraid to have a voice, I think that's what I
I
would say.
love that. Love that. Any dreams that you've yet to realize in 2021 apart from kayaking?
um, that's it. I think within my practice, just trying to think of kind of groups that I can come up with for women, kind of creating an atmosphere for women to connect, beyond just trying to mentor women that are just naturally kind of close and in my circle. I'm really trying to kind of brainstorm on ways to further connect and to encourage women in this field.
Brilliant. And how would you like to be remembered when you're no longer on this planet?
I want to be known as someone who just always stayed true to myself and never kind of sacrificed who I am for, anyone or any career or anything like that. And just someone who, has integrity and is just, just honest and kind to people.
Wonderful. So before we go, Ashley, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
No, I'm so, grateful that we got to meet, and thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Ashley Lopeztello, thank you so very much.
Thank you.